So I am a serial failed small business entrepreneur. When I look at myself in the mirror, that's what I see. And in fact, that's what I was for many, many years. I grew up out on the West Coast, and as a serial failed small business entrepreneur, I had a wonderful life. My God, it was great. I went to the beach, I drank a lot of beer, I had a lot of friends. 3 or 4 nights a week I'd come home and the house had already had people in it, we'd have a big party. It was great, it's wonderful. And so there's nothing wrong, first off, about being failed. And I learned a lot. And then I came out here to go to grad school and met my wife at Georgetown, studying international affairs. It's about 20 years ago. And we got married in 2000. And then after about 5 years of marriage, she shared with me her dream, which was to grow grapes. And she's kind of a worker bee. And I was very surprised to hear this from her because she's the kind of person that says, quit complaining, shut up and work. And here she had a dream and she shared it with me. She's from Pennsylvania originally, and she's just kind of a different mindset than us, touchy-feely Californians, where everything's possible, which is how I've always lived my life. And so she shared that dream with me, and my dream became to make her dream real. And so she and I decided that we were going to not just grow grapes, but also do a winery because of the economics of the thing. And she made that commitment, and I said that I would build the business and operate it if she was willing to make the wine as well as grow the grapes, and she agreed to that. She's not a big risk taker, but she agreed to take on this risk, and we tackled it together. Now, I knew that getting into this business was going to be very challenging for us. We didn't really have the money. We had to borrow a lot of money. We had to get a lot of help with it. And so what I did is I set out to raise the capital, to do the business plan, to get the banks involved. And we looked at a lot of wineries. And in doing that, we learned a lot about things that we did want to do and we didn't want to do. So we did a lot of research. We brought the best that we could because we had no background in this, by the way. And what we came up with was what I like to call the winery that crushed the chateau. Now, you got to keep in mind, a lot of people who get into this business have spent their lives falling in love with wine, okay? They start out going on a trip together to Bordeaux, and they go to the chateau, and they fall in love with the chateau. And what's the chateau? It's a place where people fall in love with wine, and where the wine is presented in the highest possible state as a presentation of the art. And as a result, people who get into this business very often want to, someday they aspire to retire and open their own little chateau. It doesn't matter if a chateau is 500 square feet or 50,000 square feet. It's a place where wine is being worshipped and presented. Almost like you go to church to worship God in some instances. That's what these chateaus in France were kind of about. So you have these folks that go out and they spend their lives becoming wine or grape geeks, as I call them. And at the end of that process, they retire and they take all their life savings and they open up their little bit of dream, a little bit of paradise. And what they find is that they're going to basically go broke doing that. And they will never have a chance to be able to actually take a break from what they're doing because they're working so hard. Well, my wife and I are a little bit younger, and we had no background in going to the chateaus. In fact, what happened is our idea of what a winery was about was hanging out in our living room with our friends in South Arlington, drinking cheap wine, and eating and talking and having fun. And so when we designed our winery, instead of designing a chateau, we designed our living room on a bigger scale, all right? And by doing that, we didn't know that we were about to launch down a very disruptive path for a lot of people around us. Because if you own a little chateau where it's about your wine and about your dream, and somebody comes in and plunks down a winery that says, come on in and party, hey, your kid's graduating from school, come on in and have a great time, bring the dog, it's a picnic. Hey, we're open till 9 o'clock, we're not gonna close at 6. We want you to come in here at 8 o'clock at night and drink some wine. It changes the whole formula for what everybody around us was doing. And in doing that, we became disruptors of a lot of people's lives. And we didn't intend to do that, but that's what happened. And I didn't learn about the consequences until a little bit later, which is where I'm going to end my talk today. So we're happily living our dream, building our place, and creating something that for us is beautiful. It's a lot of work. And we're trying to do it so we can make a living. We've spent every penny we have. We're all in. It's Texas Hold'em, guys. We're in. There is no out. And what's wild about opening a winery, not always, but lots of times you live on the land where the winery is. So if you lose the winery, you lose everything. You lose the house, the whole works. It's all gone, okay? And we're way over leveraged. I mean, we were just so short. We're still over leveraged. But, you know, we have investors and we keep finding ways to make this work. So fast forward about 4 or 5 years and the winery's doing pretty good and we're bringing in money. And the people in the county, I'm out in Fauquier. And I don't know if you know about Fauquier, but they're like anti-growth. And for them, that means if you don't know they exist, you're not going to want to live there. And I got this winery on a hill, and all these people are pouring out there on the weekends. And that's scaring the hell out of some folks in that county. And they're saying, we got to stop this guy. He's bringing all these people out to our county. They're all going to learn how great it is. They're all going to want to live here. So they write an ordinance. And the ordinance takes everything we're doing and makes it illegal. All of it. Right down the line. Business hours, groups, just everything you can imagine. And as a result, Brian, easy-go-lucky, lover not a fighter, has to become a fighter, not a lover. And I have to decide that I'm either going to lose my business and everything, or I'm going to have to fight against this ordinance, against my own county, against my own supervisors. I've never been in a lawsuit in my life. I've never sued anybody in my life. I've never been sued. And what's worse is that not only do I have to sue them, I have to convince the county leaders that I have the stomach, not to mention the money, which I didn't have, to win. Because it's not just the money, it's the stomach to go through this. And I tell you, my stomach was upside down every single day, 24/7. Long story short, we sued, they settled with us. We got back everything that they tried to take away, okay? But here's the point of the story. Without intending to, with a very just clear entrepreneurial vision, my wife and I created a new model for the business. And now most of the wineries, not all, but most of the wineries have incorporated some aspect of what we do, whether it's a lot more music when you go to wine country, or maybe they let dogs in or kids. That didn't happen before. Maybe they allow the picnics or the groups. You know, everybody's got their piece. We do it all, but nonetheless, we've influenced the way that wine is presented because people like it when it's like that, rather than get the hell out. You tasted our wine, now get out. Take your bottle. It's a different model. Nothing wrong with that, but that wasn't us. And now most people do some aspect of what we do. But what I didn't anticipate was the personal cost of going up against established wisdom and the way that things worked. And that happy-go-lucky guy that failed at all those little businesses but was able to drink beer on the beach at the end of the day, that guy's gone, okay? And what I wanted to share with you is that if you want to go out and change the world or change your industry or make something that's really new and you want to take that risk, we all think about that and how great that's going to be if we succeed. And frankly, we're a small business, but in a way we succeeded with that. But it took something away from me because, and I don't blame anybody for it, but I hope that you guys know if you're going to go out and you're going to change the world will push back because it's very frightening to people who have established interests to realize that there's a new threat which changes the things that they want because it's successful with another group of people. And when that happens, they have a lot of resources because they're the successful ones. You're the new guy or the new gal. So where I want to leave you with is just the question, you know, I mean, I'm more a fighter now than I was a lover than before when I was like the easy-go-lucky guy. I'm not as healthy as I used to be. I'm not as good a shape. My marriage ain't as great as it was when we started down this path. And my whole goal was to make my wife's dream come true. All those things have changed in the course of defending our business from these interests. And am I happier? The ultimate thing, I mean, am I happier than I was? I don't know. I can't answer that. So I don't mean to instill this negative thing, and I don't know that I wouldn't do it all over again. I might. But I never thought of these things when I got into this. And if I had, I might have done it a little bit differently. And if you want to go out and change the world, I'm just asking you to remember that the world doesn't always want to be changed. And it can have really very strong impacts upon you as an individual when you launch down that path. And I was inspired to share this because Gotham is somebody who's trying to make the world a better place, but there are costs sometimes, and be prepared for them. And that's about all I wanted to say. Thanks.